Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, man.
Well,
Well,
what's
we're
the
gonna get.
weather? Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It's
My
nice out
bad.
here. It's nice out. It's not hot or anything, but it's nice out.
Okay.
Yeah, it's nice out. All
Okay,
right, man.
great.
We're gonna get started. That's what we do here. So, yeah, we'll definitely welcome everyone. Welcome everyone to another Mindset Saturday. Man, where we basically um, work on our thinking so we can improve our living. Right.
Right.
So today is going to be a little bit of a different day because talk we're going to talk more about you guys, meaning we are going to I'm going to let people, for lack of better words, ask questions so that everyone can hear the answers, meaning you may have a question about how to do this or how you want to do this or how to be this or whatever else it may be. And so it's an opportunity for everyone to kind of have a little bit of question and answer, but really learn how to get the answers to what you want or to how to do something mentally so that you can produce it physically, so that you can experience it physically. So we're going to do a lot more of that today. I'm going to start off with a couple little different things just to kind of set the table, but not too much of it, because I want to really be able to get to people's questions so that not only can we discuss what people want to know or learn or be, but also so that everyone else can hear it. If you play on any team, when the coach is talking to one person, they're still kind of talking to everybody, because you don't want them to have to tell you the second time what they told somebody else the first time, right? So you learn that very quickly when you play sports. So today is going to be kind of a thing where everybody, well, as many people as we can get a chance to kind of ask a question about something they want to know. And we have a chance to kind of talk about it, discuss it, not stay too long on any particular point or any person, but be able to kind of just have some discussion a little bit so that everybody can kind of maybe ask something they want to ask or find out something they want to find out or whatever else it is as it relates um, to living, right? So first thing is, I'm going to write it on the board, but uh, when I ask you does anybody know what this word means? Um, don't be trying to look in the dictionary and act like you knew, right? I want to know who knows what the word means right now as they see it right now in front of them, right? So we're going to start off with, I think I'm going to do two words today that one is just maybe a little bit of interest. The second one I think is a little bit, a little bit more, I don't want to say potent, but I think people's conception of it is drastically different than they believed it to be. So, like I said, one, I'm just going to kind of set the table a little bit, and then we're going to go into people's, kind of questions like, hey, I was thinking about doing this, or hey, what does this mean? Whether it's maybe something I said, or whether it's a question you have about your business or about your health or about whatever else it is that you just like to ask. And like I said, even though you may not have asked the question, this is something where everyone gets a chance to kind of maybe, try to, maybe we can see how many we can get to, but people's questions answered, or at least get a chance to ask and get some information back, and also be able to hear other people's thing. And like I said, on a team, you really get a chance to learn a lot from other people's experiences, not just your own. So that's what we're going to do today. So the first word I'm going to put up today, right? I'll say it because I don't also know how well everyone can see it, right? All right. So can everyone see that word?
Yes, we can.
Oh, there's, man,
Yes.
thank you. Somebody stretched. Somebody's ready to go. Here we go. All right. Now, who has a guess? What does this word mean? Now, remember who you're talking to. So you don't have to know, and say what you want to say. There's no right and wrong. It's not that, right? But I want you to think before you speak. I want you to really think, right? Don't just say first thing that comes to your mind. If that's all that comes to your mind, say that. But what does this word mean? Just silence before you speak is a skill.
Financial institution.
Financial institution. Okay.
An entity that holds money.
Okay. Anyone else want to give it a crack? Okay, cool. Financial institution, entity that holds money. Both of those are true connotatively, not originally, right? Originally, this word bank is an old German word. It's an old German word. The word bank originally, right? There's a bank of water, right? Like a ledge, like a bank, like a river bank, right? But so there's different connotative meanings. It kind of started from here and went down, down, down to mean a bunch of different things that we know now. But the original definition of the word bank means table. It means table. Now, why would that word mean table? For what we know it to mean today, how could that word possibly mean table? Right? The people that we know now, right? The word bank that we know now, right? And table, really the first bankers, what we call bankers today, the first bankers had tables. The first bankers had tables. The word bank means table. The first bankers had tables. The tables they had were in, old times, 15th century, 14th century. The earliest form of paper money that's recorded in history started in China. And that was in the 12th and 13th century in the Ming Dynasty in China. But before they had paper money, right, they had coins, gold, silver, and various coins that they used to exchange for transactions, right? So the first paper money was in China in the 12th, 13th century. By the 14th century, basically it was not outlawed, but it was not worth much because people were counterfeiting it. The word dollar that we use here is not a piece of paper. It actually is a representation of a unit of measurement, like quart or pint or ounce, right? It's a reflection of how much gold and silver you had, essentially. That's what the word dollar actually means, right? So the bank is a table. Bankers had a table. The table that they had back in old days, when you went from one part of the world to another, or even almost one province to another, or one country to another, one state, even in the same part of a country, but a different place in it. When you would go from one place to another, they would have different coins. So what you had was what you would call, I think they even mentioned in the Bible, a money changer. A money changer was the first banker. So what happened was there'd be a person sitting at like the beginning of the city. And so when you came into the city, like when you go overseas to Europe, a lot of times you'll exchange your dollars. Dollars are strong everywhere, but generally if you want to use the currency of that land, you'll exchange the money you have for the money that they use where you are. Right? And so in each city or each province or country, when you went from one place to another that used different money than you had, that's what this banker was. They were a person who sat at a table. The table was the bank. It was a person who had the money, who had the coins. So you could exchange your money for the money that you could use in that part of the country, wherever you were entering. So they had to know money conversion. They had to know, they had to just know that. If I give you $1 and I'm going to Mexico and I need pesos, then I'm going to exchange your dollar and I'll tell you how many pesos I can give you. So you take those pesos, you walk into, Mexico and you spend the currency of the land. So table is actually what bank means. It is a table because all the currency that they would have would be sat on this table. So you'd see somebody sitting there and they'd be sitting down, they had a table. So you'd walk up and you'd exchange the money you had from where you're coming from for the money that you need where you're entering behind it. And so you can use the currency of that place, right? So that's what this word means. Now, I'm going to put another thing, which is, so, Old German word, bank. Now, rupt. When you hear somebody is bankrupt or went bankrupt, right? Bank is one thing, rupt is another. What is this word rupt, do you think? What does that mean? There's actually a word that today that this is the root word of it. What does anybody think this word means, rupt?
I think of a word. Is rupture a word?
Rupture. What does rupture mean?
My ESL kicks in, but is it like?
Yes, to rip.
Because I was
or-
thinking of you with you, Vera. I'm with you, girl.
right? It means, yes, it means to rip or tear,
Okay.
right? That's what rupt means, rupture, right? It means to rip or tear, right? So when somebody goes bankrupt, right, we're saying financially, we're saying that their financial situation, right, they're the money changer of their own life. You're exchanging money for something, right? For services, goods, to be able to use for whatever you want. So when you go bankrupt, you're saying that your money table, your ability to exchange, right, was torn, right? So bank is table, right? Bank is table. Rupt means to tear. So what happened was, or what happened sometimes would be that some of these money changers in the city that you entered into, in today's words, got shady, got tricky, were con men, shysters, whatever you want to call them. But so they would not give you the equal value of your exchange. So when they were caught, they would be bankrupted. Somebody would come out and flip over their table or smash it. You're not really ripping a table, but that's what rupt means. It means to rip or tear. They would just smash the table. They would flip it over and break it. So now you're out of business, right? The money changer now is out of business. So when you are bankrupt personally, you are out of business, right? Now there's all kind of filings and you can pay stuff back, but the original concept means you were out of business because of your dishonesty or your lack of skill. You not knowing the current exchange rate. If you did that too much or people thought you were lying, either one of those led to the same end. That's what bankrupt means. It means a table that's torn. Bank just means table. That was the place where money was sat out and you exchanged. Originally, what we talk about a financial institution and where they a money holding entity, those came in the 16th century and the 17th century. The original word bank is like in the 15s. It's a pure, well over a century before that. They were exchanging money before that, but that was really more something different, which we'll kind of get to in a second. But that's what it means. That's where the word bank comes from. It's an old German word. It means table, right? Rupt means to tear. So bankrupt means your financial situation was tore up. It was destroyed. So when you're bankrupt, you're saying, I'm torn up, I'm destroyed. So when I tell you guys always, hey, you are your first business, this is what I mean by that. Right? This is what I mean by that. You are your first business. So in order to not go bankrupt, you have to have some financial skill, whether in any area of life, whether it's your health, whether it's your money, you have to have skill and you have to have some honesty. You have to be honest with what you know, don't know, learn, need to learn, or whatever else it is in order to keep your table, in order to keep your situation the way you want it to be, right? So that's what that word means and where it comes from. These were your first bankers, the people who were money exchangers. These were your first bankers, what you would call today bankers. Now, like I said, earliest forms of money, right, were what we call like paper money, right, that represented value was in China. But the first means of exchange, right? What would we call, what's a word that we would use to call the first means of exchange? Like before there were dollars and things like that, what were people doing to get their needs met amongst each other?
Bartering.
Say it again.
Bartering, trading.
Bartering? Yes, bartering. So what is bartering? What is that?
I'll give you something in exchange for something else.
I give you something in exchange for something else. So you have A is going for B, right? Okay, cool. This is what we have to understand about your business, especially when people are talking about business, but really it's anything. When you can understand the higher levels of thought to understand that the thing is the thing, but the concept is something else, right? You have to exchange your health for in order to work. Meaning you have to say, okay, I'm healthy enough to be able to experience this thing, or I'm wealthy enough to buy this thing. So bartering is an exchange. It doesn't matter whether it's your time for money, whether it's your money for a car, it's exchanging something. So when you understand that concept, let's just say the people who are talking about business, let's just say that. Like I said, I'm not going to go too long today because today is going to be more about you guys. I want you to be able to talk about things, but I'm kind of setting the tables. I want you to understand a couple things. Even this will be a good thing for business, but if you can get the higher level to realize that it's the principle is what you have to catch. Once you understand the concept and the principle, you can apply your understanding of that to everything. So you realize I can't barter a sick body for a healthy business. I can't exchange them. I'm not healthy enough to run it. I can't, it's not an equal exchange. So when you're exchanging A for B, what determines if A gets B? What determines that?
My belief about the value of it and if it's equal enough.
Well, that's pretty cool. Your belief about the value. That's pretty good. Who else? Let me see if somebody else.
What's the value to the person? So the item that I want, what does that personal value mean to me versus what I'm giving up?
Okay. So when we say, we're using the word value a lot, which is good. And this is what I want you to understand about the principle of bartering. We're using the word value. So if we're saying value, we're talking about the value of A versus the value of B. If we want to get B and we have A, then A has to be equivalent to B or exceed it at minimum. So then what is it about who is in charge of A?
The person that has A.
The person, yeah, but who is the person who has A? What is that person representing? What is the person who has A wants to give something for B? So the person who has A
Is the buyer.
is the what?
Buyer.
The person who has A?
Yes, because they want to buy B.
Yeah, but to the person who's B, who are you?
You're the consumer because you're trading an item for another item. So
Wait,
you're
okay. Who is the buyer and who is the seller?
the seller A is selling to B to get B.
Okay.
And
But
B is buying from A based off of what based off of what A wants.
So the seller, the A is the buyer or the seller?
And Lucky, I would venture out and say that they both are buyers and sellers because they're both trying to obtain something from the other.
Carl put in the chat, A is value. Russell put in the chat both.
It is,
Yeah.
it's kind of all of those. Here's what I mean.
Right.
To A, you are buying something. But B is sitting here saying, you're selling me something. You're selling me something. So I'm looking at, you think you're buying something from me, but on this end of the stick, I'm getting something from you. So I'm saying, am I getting something from you that is worth what it is you're trying to get from me? Do I even want what you have? From the B side, you're the seller. You're not the buyer, really. Not most importantly. Yes, it's an exchange between both people, but the person who's getting something is being sold because they're like, if I accept it, I'm stuck with what I have. So just because, and what does that mean? It means just because you're giving me something and you think it's valuable doesn't necessarily mean they think it's the same level of value. They're looking at it and saying, yeah. So you know how a lot of times people want to sell a house and they'll say, and then you go to see the house and they want 1 million for it. And you're saying, look, I'll give you 850. And then a lot of times they'll say something like this. Oh, well, this house has such sentimental value. My kids grew up here. We used to play at the park down the street, right? What you're saying is that, yeah, I'm buying something from you, but really you're selling it to me. So I'm only willing to buy it at the level that you can sell it of its value, not like what I'm going to get for it. So what I'm saying is that if A starts this whole transaction, what I want you to understand is that A has to maintain whatever this thing is. It is the responsibility of A to maintain the value of this thing so that it is valuable enough to be sold for what you want. You can't put your cow on the market and want $100 on Saturday, and then, but Monday through Friday, you were either too broke, too poor, too lazy, too stupid, too unaware, whatever else it is, to feed your cow. So now on Saturday, you take it to the market and it looks famished, and the person you're selling it to can see the bones. Right? What I'm trying to say to you is that the value of what you are trying to exchange, the person who is trying to exchange it, both people, but we're starting with A, we're just going this way now. The person, the original owner of the thing who's trying to sell it, to exchange it, the original owner has to maintain the value of the thing they're trying to sell or give away or exchange. It is up to A to maintain the value of that. So what does that mean? If you apply it to your health, it is up to you to maintain the value of your health, to maintain the integrity of your body if you're trying to sell yourself, so to speak, to an employer. You can't walk in there coughing, sick, looking like you're about to pass out. They're not going to hire you, most likely, right? You can't walk into a car dealership and say, I need a car really bad. They pull your credit and you haven't worked in 12 years. You have, negative in your account. You don't plan on working, but you just want to see what they can do for you.
Kia put in the chat, what if you are selling something intangible like an idea or concept?
But that still goes back to you. How? Because you're the seller. So who you are is what you're selling. And the better of that you are, the more of that you are, the more value goes out, like perfume, like cologne. We put it on and it goes out. People can smell it. They may not know the scent. They may not know exactly what it is or what kind it is, but they can smell it. That's why we put it on, right? It's something that we put on to go out into the world, right? To reflect what we like how we like to present ourselves, how we like to feel and smell, and other people feel what we're giving off, but we're giving off what we put on. Can't give off something we didn't put on. So we're putting it on first. So what I'm saying to you is that a lot of times we don't maintain the integrity of the thing one day we're going to want to barter. Whether it's our health, whether it's our mind, whether it is our education. We go to school playing around, sleep, messing around. Now we got to go out and live on the information we don't have. right? Or we mess around and mess our credit all up, and then we want to go buy a car on the credit we don't have. So the oldest exchange between humans, one thing for another, right, is still principally, fundamentally, foundationally the same. Whether we're trading a cow for some land, credit for a car, whether we're trading money for a home, the person who's initiating this transaction, right, or who needs it the most, has to be aware before that day that if I want to exchange this thing at any point in life, I have to make sure that I maintain the integrity, the value of this thing that I plan, or maybe not, but plan possibly to exchange at any point in the future. Because when I come to B is not looking at me as a buyer as much as they are as a seller. They're selling me something. Now, I may be selling them something afterward, but they're selling me something. I'm looking at the value of this thing you're bringing to me. So you have to be aware of the value you are, or the value you have, or the value you're presenting. Just like you are when you put on that cologne or that perfume. You're aware of the thing you're putting on and how it's going to go out into the world as a reflection of you. When you walk by, they're smelling you. They're not smelling somebody 5 blocks away. So when you're talking to them, when you're bartering, when you're exchanging, that's all we're doing today. It just looks fancier, right? Your time for your job, your money for a car or for a home, your whatever else it is, your money for a service, a product, right?
Akia put in the chat, isn't value in the eye of the beholder?
But who is the first beholder? Who is the first beholder? Right? If we put on perfume or cologne and we didn't like it, either A, we're not going to put it on, so nobody could get the value of it because nobody's going to smell it on us. Or B, if we didn't like it and we put it on, we wouldn't walk with the same courage, confidence, swag. We wouldn't feel handsome. We wouldn't feel sexy. We wouldn't feel that. So you can't sell something you don't feel. Not to a wise buyer, not to a wise investor. So the beauty somebody sees is the beauty we present. It's why we put our best foot forward, right, on an interview. It's why we put our best foot forward, especially when we're first dating. It's why we realize it starts with us. Sometimes we're more aware of that truth than others. But when we go on a first date, we don't say beauty's in the eye of the beholder. We're like, shoot, if I don't dress myself up, brush my teeth, comb my hair, well, what beauty is there to behold? And who starts that chain of events? The person who's going on a date with the other person. The interviewee who's being interviewed, how you walk in, when you walk in, if you're on time, if you're late, if you're presentable, if you're wearing a suit or a dress or something that reflects your desire, your interest, your awareness of the value that you are not only trying to get, but what you're presenting. Because if you're presenting something lower than you're trying to get, there is no beauty to behold when I'm looking up here and you're down there. Right? So everything starts with us. Everything starts with us. And the more control of us, the value that we hold, that is the value we present. So we're trying to control the eye of someone else, but won't brush our teeth, comb our hair, be on time, won't wear the right outfit, or won't show up. We're trying to control someone else's eye. But if you look at it, we don't want anybody to control our eye. We don't want to be conned, or we don't want somebody to tell us what to think or how to feel or anything else, right? So the best way to control someone else, if you want to say it that way, or to ensure that the beholder sees the beauty of you, is to present yourself as beautiful. And you can't do that without awareness, without that intrinsic value and belief in yourself. And as a result of that belief in yourself, you will dress yourself a certain way. You will speak a certain way. You'll arrive at a certain time. You'll wear certain things. You'll speak a certain way. And that beauty that exudes from you, like that perfume, everybody's going to know it's you. They're not going to be confused that it's like, oh, that perfume is nice. I wonder what he's wearing. Nobody's going to confuse who's wearing it. And if they don't know right away, they will smell long enough to figure it out, especially the more they like it. But what they like is you. So if you're likable, that's what you're presenting. it's easy to be, right? So that's what I want you to understand. Everybody's talking about value. I want you to understand your first value is you. Everybody's trying to control what the customer thinks or what the beholder thinks, but they think last what you first thought.
Kari put in the chat, this is relevant to selling, not all situations though.
Such as,
So I think in the context of what you're talking about in regards to buying and selling, this is super relevant. But when someone had mentioned the value of the beauty being the eye of the beholder, in other situations that is true. So for example, someone may be into there may be a guy who's into a woman. She doesn't have to have self-confidence for him to like her. It's just what he likes. So in that type of situation, it truly is on the other person, because you're not presenting a certain way. It just happens to be what they like. But in the context of this talk, you're definitely 100% on point.
true at the beginning. Veronica and I had this conversation a little while ago. Exact same thing. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I just wanted to add in the chat because Tiffany added she disagrees. He likes her because of what she already shows.
I mean, he's not closing his eyes. He's not walking backward. But to even, Kari, to your point, what he likes is what he sees now, right away. I like a house. I walk in the house and there's the chandeliers leaning, the floors are uneven. What I liked at the beginning is not necessarily what I'm going to like in the end. I'm going to like you for who you are at some point. And maybe it's at the beginning, maybe it's in the middle, maybe it's at the end. But at the end of the day, I'm going to like you for who you are, right? Or not, right? Because what I first see, like you said, a guy just may like the way a girl looks. That's cool. So that's going to get my interest. But keeping it is something else, because now I'm looking at who you are the more I get to know you. That's why when you first see somebody, you ask for their number, you don't ask to marry them, because you may like what you see enough to approach them, but that doesn't mean you want to go the long mile, right? Until you know more of them. You may like a house and there's a sign out that says open house. So now you're like, okay, I'm interested enough in this thing at the beginning to now go in and see, what is it like for real in here? Let me look in the backyard. Let me look and see if, and then you see a hole in the roof. Then you see like, did somebody punch a hole in the wall? Why is there right? And you start to say, okay, now it starts to come down, come down, come down. Or you walk in and you're like, wow, right? So there's the initial part, right? But then there's, once you start to look at it long enough, give you an example. I have a magazine downstairs, Fortune 500. Guess who was on the front of that a year ago? Little over a year ago.
That crypto guy that
Yeah.
nobody liked,
Yeah. But what'd you say? Everybody liked him. So beauty's in the eye of the beholder, and everybody beheld him. Remember Mr. Wonderful, Kevin O'Leary? And he beheld how wonderful he was. And he said, oh, I met his parents too. I met him and I met his parents. So everything that glitters ain't gold. And sometimes what we think we're beholding, that's why we end up getting tricked, because we're looking at something that isn't necessarily what it is. And if we're not paying attention, we'll get tricked by what we see and not what is. So now a year and a half later, that dude went from Fortune 500 magazine. All the smartest people read it. All the richest people are on it, on the front, in the back, in the middle. And so it's like, man, if they're in here doing it. If I'm reading it, I'm like, man, they're in here doing it. I want to be just like them, right? So the magazine put this dude on the front. Now, how do you think that magazine feels now?
I know they feel molded.
But that's right. That's my point. My point is, it's almost like a triangle. You're A, and then let's just say your customer, the beholder, is B. There's still a middle. The middle is who you are, your actions, who you are. I'll just use the word actions. What I'm saying is, because of who you are, you're going to start doing things. What you do now gives this person an impression of you. So sooner or later, who you are is what they're going to call you, because they're calling you something, like Veronica said, they're calling you something based on how you dressed up. They're calling you pretty or calling you like, When you show up to an interview, because of how you interview, you're going to say, or yeah. But you're only doing that based on their actions, but their actions are second to you if they're first to them. So they are acting out of who they really are. So in this case, the guy on Fortune 500, he knew he was a fraud. He knew he was. He didn't tell you, he fooled everyone else. So that beauty in the eye of the beholder, or, you know, the customer being, this person is always going to treat you like you are at the end. May not be at the beginning. It may not, but ultimately it's what happened. Look at Bernie Madoff. Everybody thought he was a genius.
All right, so this is a great explanation. Time with / experience makes the difference. Thanks for explaining.
Yes, and that's what today is going to be about. I got some very good. I spoke to someone this week who told me a lot of things that I really appreciated, and that's why I like you guys to participate so much. That's why I appreciate it. That's why it's so important, because I want us all to grow. I am talking to you passionately, not out of authority, but I'm living the same life we're talking about. That's why I say the things I say, not because I'm up here and you're down here. It's because I'm thinking the same way. Well, if I do this and it's going to make somebody do that, or and we don't realize that we're trying to control this equation, and we don't have to control this person. They will end up seeing who we are. And who we are is based on what we believe ourselves to be. Who we are is mental first. And what is mental comes through our actions. And our actions then will tell this person who we are ultimately. So Bernie Madoff and all these people who tricked us at first. There was another lady, I don't even know if I have the magazine, but she was the lady who's going to jail for 17 years for like the biomedical thing that she did. I think it was like, what's her name? Elizabeth Holmes or something like that. Forgive me if that's the wrong name. I believe it is. Same thing. I think she had a company called Theranos. I think it was called.
Yeah, she lied to everybody.
Lied to everybody. So guess what? Guess how many eyes she took before she got caught? So you don't have an eye to see with, because the beauty that you beheld just took your eye. Now you can't see anything else.
Kari put in the chat, I prefer you keep it harsh. That's how I roll.
Right? So what I'm saying to you is that on, like we talk about bartering, I want you to understand that your value is what you're exchanging. And if you can make yourself valuable, if you can understand that your value is essentially how you're going to be treated, maybe not at the beginning, because there's all kind of people who will try to jump in front of line, who step out there first, they'll raise their hand, and and they answer questions first, they finish the test first, and it makes everybody think there's something. But after a while, you could turn that test in first, and you may be the last one to get an F, but you got an F at the end. So a lot of people are in a rush and a hurry to go nowhere, right? Is my point. And what I'm saying to you, it's almost like the tortoise and the hare. Sometimes winning looks a lot different than what it's made out to be, right? And this is what I want us to have a better understanding of, is that when we talk about value, we keep thinking that we can present more value than we are. We keep thinking that the customer or the girl or the guy or the house is more valuable than we are. But if we don't understand that that's actually the opposite, we won't be able to present ourselves well enough to get it or keep it. So now the person on Forbes, both of them going to jail. Sam Bankman-Fried and the lady are going to jail, and they were on the cover of Forbes. That's why I remember her. And she's actually out here in the Bay Area, right? So what I'm saying is, all these people who met their families who are millionaires, now look at them. Now they're on TV talking about, oh, well, look at all the celebrities getting sued for that crypto guy. Everybody getting sued. Tom Brady, Giselle, all of them getting sued for representing somebody. But he looked beautiful. He talked a good game. And this is what I want us to understand, right? That it's that to win in the long term, to win, right? And not get your victories vacated or erased like the Fab Five, not have them take your banners down and have you hauled off a Caribbean island, right? Like Sam Bankman-Fried, or going to jail over here in California like her. What you are will show up. It confuses most people, so everybody's out here trying to present themselves some way, but what you are will show up. And if you are how you want to be treated, eventually it will happen. Sometimes it's faster, sometimes it's slower, but it will happen. It will happen. And so place the value, place the impetus, place your highest effort, labor, awareness on the value of yourself, making yourself valuable, right? It's just like putting that cologne perfume on. People will smell it, right?
That's exactly what IKEA put in the chat. Make yourself valuable. And then Kari just said, I think we are vilifying that guy because the government wants to kill crypto. That's a topic for a separate discussion.
The great thing about it is I'm not vilifying him because I didn't put any money in with him, right? There is a, I want everybody to, I don't want to go too far off track because I really want to get to what I really want to get to, but I want us to understand that a lot of times we're so desperate to believe in someone else before, above, and beyond ourselves that we don't even develop ourselves well enough to see what we could be. We don't even listen to the voice that's inside of us. We don't even give ourselves a chance. So everybody's like, oh, he must know it. She must know it. They must know it. If I just do this, and it's like, none of it has to do with us. Whether none of it has to do with us, and yet we want to get paid. We want to get the return, but we don't have anything of value, right? And so we're shortchanging ourselves. We're exchanging treasures for trinkets, right? And that's what I want us to stop doing. I don't mean play the long game, but play the long game in the sense of you'll always get what you are. But I don't mean play the long game like it has to take that long. I'm saying the better you are, the stronger you are, the nicer that cologne is, the faster that car is, the bigger the house is. People see it quicker. They see it more quickly because it's just more expressive, right?
Marcus put in the chat, teach. It all comes back to know thyself.
First. That's why it says that first, right? All right, so I'm going to stop because I'll go on forever. Today I want to do something a little bit different. Like I said earlier, I don't know if some of you were on, some of you are not. One of the best things I learned looking back in playing sports is team. And there are a lot of experiences that we have that our coach will say, yes, no, maybe so, absolutely not, get out, whatever else it may be, right? And so a lot of lessons I learned weren't from my own experience. I just saw it. And I'm like, oh yeah, note to self, don't do that one. Right? So a lot of things that we can learn, especially being in a group setting, don't have to be always from our own experience. We can look at somebody else's and say, oh, I see why they made it. I see why they didn't. I see where I'm slipping or what I'm actually good at. So we can learn a lot from each other. So today, right, we are going to do, I guess you could say a little bit more of Q&A, but really what I mean is that I want us to be able to ask some questions so that we can not only get answers to our own questions, but that we can get answers to our own questions from other people, from other people's questions, other people's experiences, other people's ideas. That's why I love participating, because I'm not here to say that I'm God and that I know everything and you guys know nothing. No, we're all here to come together and reason. So I like it. I'm not saying, well, because you don't say what I say that you're wrong. I will try to explain it over and over. And if it's the truth will stand. The truth will stand interrogation, waterboarding, it'll a jury trial. If it's not the truth, it will crumble. I'm not here to sell you something that when life comes to beat on it, it crumbles. I'm not here to sell you a chain that as soon as you start sweating, like I did in elementary, I bought a fake gold chain because I thought I was LL. And I took about 10 steps and started sweating because it was hot. And that thing was greener, boy, than a grass in April. Boy, I mean, my neck started itching. It didn't take long. So my point is, like, I'm not here to sell you something fake, because once you try to use it or apply it, it's going to crumble. So when I say something, I believe it to be the truth, but through our interaction, it will stand or it won't. And that's why I always tell you all to apply it. See, when you go away from here, don't just walk off the rest of the weekend and the rest of the week and just not think anything about what we've discussed. See what you can take from it and apply. And then test it, prove it. A lot of people, boy, got a God they don't know because they won't prove it. They won't test it. They don't really want to know if this works. They don't really want to know. They just would rather have hope so they can feel a little better while it's all bad. That's not what we're here to do. We're here to learn how to feel good, how to live good. We didn't come here to suffer and be miserable, but through our ignorance, through our immaturity, through our lack of awareness, that's all there is. That's the only outcome that can happen in those areas. So we're here to learn and grow from one another, with one another, and things like that, right? So So like I said, so today, right, I want to be able to open it up for questions, or like, hey, how do I do this? Or hey, what does this mean? Or what did you mean when you say that? Or hey, well, how about this? Or whatever else it is, so that we can all reason, and we can all talk, and we can all have a better understanding, so that we can take something from this to listen. I want to hear what you have to say. I want everyone to hear what someone has to say. They may have a question or whatever that we can learn and grow from and apply in our own lives. So that's what the rest of today is going to be about. I want to hear about you or from you, in the sense of, what is it you want to know? What is it you're thinking about? What is it you want to improve? What is it for you, right? I want all of you to come here excited and ready, because you're getting something you can work with when you leave. This is not a sweat, fall out, faint, and leave the same way you came in. You can do that watching TV with a good movie, right? I want you guys to actually say, I never thought about it that way. Let me try it. Let me try something, whatever you hear that you believe in, right? All right, what we got?
Hope has her hand up.
Yes.
Hi, everybody. Good morning.
Morning.
As I've been trying to really understand myself and the value that I bring to my professional career, my social life, and myself, I've noticed a commonality between knowing my value, but also people pleasing. And I guess for me, that is where I want to grow, because if I know my value, why do I continue to try people pleasing? So I guess my question is, I don't really know how to, I don't know how to explain it, but that's how I'm explaining it. Because as much as I'm trying to stay in my lane and do what I have to do, and I know my worth and my work ethic, and nobody can do the job that I do, and I know that, I also know that I am expendable in a job setting in which I am. So I think that's where the people pleasing comes in, because it's like, for me, it's like, okay, I do really well, but I'm also a threat. So I'm people pleasing to kind of
I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. You said you're also a what?
a threat because of my work ethic, because of what I can do. And I don't know if you know what I do, but I work with homeless students and families. And it's a very taxing job. Not a lot of people can do what I do with the public education system, but there are people that do it. But as far as where I am in particular, is that a fear of loss is the motivation behind? What did she say?
Akia put in the chat, is that fear of loss is the same motivation behind the behavior?
I think that's it.
I tell people all the time that fear is the most common and least valuable thing you can ever have. People praise it, they worship it, they say everybody's afraid of something, and all these other things. But fear only exists when knowledge is not present. We don't fear anything that we know, because we know how to deal with it, so it removes the element that we would be afraid of.
Purpose.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? So what IKEA said was exactly right, and I'm glad that IKEA answered, and all of us can answer, because it's not just about me, right? But that's exactly right. Right? Yes.
I was going to raise my hand.
Yeah. I just saw you. Go ahead.
What I have to say is that if you look at your life, and your life is not the culmination of that job or that work, you're more than that. So then if you look at your life and say, okay, what else do I have in my life apart from this job? And if I don't have this job, what would my life actually look like?
Yeah,
that may give you this sense of you don't have to fear or people please on the job, because you know you're more than the job.
That is my life though. Like, my job is my purpose. Like, I love what I do. I love what I do, and that's why I do it well. But
Well,
here,
is your purpose just tied to that particular organization, or could you create that same purpose outside of that organization?
I mean,
You don't have
there's
the fear
always,
of
yeah,
loss.
yeah.
Because you could serve those same homeless students and people, you know, it doesn't necessarily need to be tied to a particular organization to do that work, since that's your purpose. So if that's the case, then you don't have any fear, because if you lose that job, if you get fired or you intimidate people on the job, then you can start your organization, or there could be other organizations that's doing even greater things with homeless people.
My calling, Mona.
Hmm?
So Mona put in the chat, is it your job or is it your calling? Yeah.
So then my question would be this: if you said it's your purpose, kind of like Ikea is saying, and kind of like Mona said, then you can do it somewhere else. Well, how do we know that to be true? That's easy to say, but how do we know it to be true? Well, Malcolm X had a purpose. And when he got thrown out or walked out of the Nation of Islam, didn't he go and do something else?
Mhm.
It didn't stop him from what he did. It didn't. And guess what? People don't care what organization you're with if you helping. They don't
True.
care if you call yourself Peter Pan. They don't care if you call yourself Betty Boop. They don't care. If you come in with that action, you come in with that food, that support, or whatever it is that you provide out of your calling, then that's all you want to provide, and that's all they want to get. So if it is your calling, and to our original point, if you know your value, then you'll understand that your gift will make room for you.
Yes.
You'll understand that. But your gift can't make room for somebody you're trying to squeeze it through. You're trying to squeeze it through maybe the position or the place you're in, because you feel like that is the resource you need to express yourself, but it's limiting your ability to do it. Right? If you want to run a marathon race because you're a runner and you wear a size 7 shoe and you feel like, well, I have to put my foot in these size 6s because they're so cute, or because whatever it may be, you can't run your race because the resource you're using is too small or is not appropriate or the right fit for you. So your belief in yourself, sitting down and just seeing yourself doing what you're doing and detaching it from it's not your job's mission to help you. That's not what they're in the business for. They didn't create their business like, where's hope? They didn't create that business for you. They created that business for whatever they wanted it for. And then you came in and signed on. Right? So if this is your calling, there may not be adapting to you because it's not about you, but your calling is about you. So if you would sit down with yourself and say, how would I feel if I were as successful as I wanted to be? What would I be doing? And you may realize that as a result of getting that consciousness, it may move you out, like Ikea is saying, it may move you out into a place where you can step up now. You may be in a place where the ceiling's too small, or the room is too tight, the shoe is too small. Right? And so you're bumping your head up against something that you desire to be because you just may be trying to do it in the wrong place, just like the two ladies said today.
It sounds like your calling is bigger than where you work.
What do you mean when you said that?
I feel that.
Say it again.
What I meant was that, if it's your calling and it's your passion and it's bigger than where you want, you can't limit yourself to where you're at. And if you start to feel like your purpose is not being fulfilled, or you're still catering around other people and you're not really getting to the core of what you want to do, then your purpose is not there, somewhere else, so you can expand bigger. That's what got a little bit of.
Yeah, I think the beginning of that was right on. I know that my purpose is being filled where I'm at, but there's a lot of red lines, and there's a lot of pushback, and a lot of I'm a very spiritual person, so I feel a lot of energy sometimes is negative towards what I'm trying to do or what I do. But like you said, Lucky, like the value of the person, and if you know what you give, that should be the only thing that deters you from being fearful. But I guess, you know, I don't know.
Then if that's the case and you know that to be true, then that means the only person that needs to change is you. Right? And it's the same sun. In Southern Cal, I mean, in below the equator, it's coming from, it's almost getting close to the end of summer. Same sun, but it's hot down there. Up here, it's cooler. Same sun. But so the thing can be the same, but the thing can increase its intensity depending on where it is. So if you feel like you want to stay there and you're not able to shine the way you want, you may just have to increase your intensity. And the only way you can increase your intensity is by knowing you and being you. You can't worry about who's hating on you. You are diluting your intensity. You're looking so much on the outside and worried about what everyone else is doing or thinking or saying, or what you believe they're doing, thinking or saying. You're not enough of yourself to either be happy with what you're doing or overwhelm the things around you that could suppress you, so to speak. When it gets hot, people got to deal with it. You either got to put some suntan lotion on, go inside, put a hat on, or go outside if you like it. But when the intensity of heat increases, everybody responds. It doesn't matter who you are, everyone responds. So the sun is not worried about you. You can't hate on it, you can't stop it, you can't do anything. You just have to deal with it. But that's because the sun is the sun and it doesn't want to be or need to be or think about being anything else. The sun knows its purpose, so it can never be stopped. Nobody can put a blanket over it. Nobody can say, well, not today, right? And it would be the same with you. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, Akia put in the chat, God doesn't give you vision without provision.
Exactly. Where you're guided, you're provided. But that has to be something that's settled within you. That's something that you're going to have to sit down and do some work. Just like you're trying to help them, you need to help you. Just like the love and value you're giving to those people you're serving, you have to turn it around and give it to yourself. You're overdrawing the account. You're trying to do more for others than you're doing for yourself. And so you're become weary in well-doing. Right? You're in the 13th mile of a marathon. And now your feet hurting, back hurting, head hurting, thinking people are kicking you in the back of the leg, wondering why there's no water when you run by. Everything just seems against you. Right? But it's only perception. It's not reality, it's perception. But when you're tired enough, fatigue makes cowards of us all. A lot of times when we're tired, boy, we'll believe some things, say some things, do some things that with a good night's sleep or sufficient rest or good nutrition, we'd never do. So sometimes in life, we're running that race, and sometimes we're depleted. We're too depleted to continue as we're going. And it doesn't mean that we're running the wrong race or that we're the wrong person, but sometimes we need to refresh. So I would encourage you to sit down and just have some quiet time with yourself. And if you know you're valuable and believe you're valuable, I suggest you don't know it as much as you're saying it or that you're thinking it. I don't think you know it. I think you're saying it, and I think you think it. But when you know it, it'll be different. Your outcome will be different, right? So I just think it's just a little bit more nourishment you need from yourself. Sit down and get a little quiet, what people call meditating or whatever. Sit down and get a little quiet and spend some time with yourself. Just peaceful, calm.
It's interesting what Hope is saying. The whole concept of people pleasing. And you said that, maybe she's depleted, because she's been running this race without any support. So maybe the action of people pleasing, the reason we please people is because we need energy from them. Whether the energy is in a form of compliment, appreciation, or whatever, it's still energy we're receiving. So maybe the reason you feel that you're in this position where you have to people please is because maybe you are depleted, because you have this calling, you're trying to do it, you're getting wary because maybe lack of support. So that might be the behavior of people pleasing, is because intuitively you know that you need energy from that depletion, like what Coach Lucky is saying.
So these are just things, Hope, from all of us for you to think about, and I think if you just sit down and just think about what you've been, what you've heard, sit down and think about, what you want for yourself and things like that. you know, it sounds like a lot of us believe that you're on the right track doing what we can tell you're passionate about it. Nobody's trying to talk you out of it, right? We're just trying to support you and saying, hey, don't run your head up against this wall, you know, constantly. See if there's a better way or a better thought, a better way that you can see it, see you, so that, like IKEA is saying, Miss IKEA is saying, so that you can get the energy. That's what we're being. We're energy beings. That's why the sun is so important, right? We're always doing that.
Yeah, and I could relate to what Hope is saying, because I remember there was a point in my life where I was so depleted. I was like doing everything for everyone else and nothing for myself. And I got in a situation where I got a job where I was just appreciated. And that was better than the paycheck. I wasn't getting paid that much. But just the fact that, you know, when I walked into that place, I was so well appreciated, that gave me more than the actual monetary value. So that energy that I needed when I was so depleted and so worn out, sometimes you get to that point because you're always helping everybody. You know, we have a tendency to want to help people and we forget about ourselves. And a lot of times you need to go somewhere where you get that support and appreciation, and that feeds your soul more than anything else. Because that's why I said I could so relate to what Hope was saying, because I've seen myself with that same form of behavior in the past.
Yes.
Marcus put in the chat, my mom always said, go where you're appreciated, not tolerated.
Yeah. Yeah. So, well, good. So hopefully this helped. Definitely thanks for participating. Hope this helped. And we're definitely going to, like I said, I got some great advice this week that I really want to implement. You know, I want to make sure that, you know, we have a chance to talk, not just me talking at you or talking to you, but talking with you. And I want everyone to be able to participate, because I think everyone can learn a lot from each other. We all have different skills, different abilities, and experiences. And I think, like in a team setting, we can learn a lot from other people's experiences to, you know, lessen the the damage or the tenacity or the length of some of the things that we're going through.
Tiffany put in the chat, it also is on us to identify our emotional needs and how we are looking to others to fill our own empty cups.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So, well, definitely thank you, Hope. We appreciate it, and you know, I'm glad to see you. And so yeah, take that and you know, let us know. Let us know how it goes, how it's going. All right, who we got? Who's up next? Who wants to ask anything, say anything?
Don't be shy now.
Because you know I always have something to say. Right? This is your 5 minutes of fame. And I cheat, so it may get down to 3 minutes quick. So I want everyone to have a chance to, you know, just talk about what they want to talk about, ask what they want to ask, you know, and whatever else it is. That's what we're here for. That's what the information is for, no matter whom it comes from. Right.
Hey, Lucky, I got a question and kind of a comment. Can you talk about the importance of when you are believing for something to be, no matter what it is? Can you talk about the importance of being patient despite distractions? Because that's where I hear a lot of commonalities from, that we talk about the distractions, or this is happening, and if we are, as we're building within ourselves, you get a lot of distractions, and you need that patience to be able to visually see and internally feel that you are on the right track and course. And patience, I think, is a core value that's needed to get where you need to go.
Anybody have anything they want to say to that before I do? Anybody have any advice they'd like to give or anything they'd like to say? Yep. Okay. What we have to understand is that the present is really the past. Meaning all the things that we're experiencing right now, this second, is now, when I first started talking right now, that's already the past. So a lot of the things that we're experiencing right now are just the outcomes of things. They're the trees that have grown from the seeds we planted. There are things that are currently in our life because they've come to fruition. They've grown up, they've matured. So what is happening today is not because it was created today. And a lot of it is because of what has just come into fruition today. Right? And so when we attempt to change our mind, when we attempt to establish a new experience, now we're starting today, but we're planting the seed, but we may not experience that until a week from now, a month from now, just depending on what the seed is, what the new desire or new experience is. So a lot of times time is illusory because we don't have the proper understanding of it, really. So in this case, in a smaller case, saying it in a smaller box, that what we're experiencing right now are things that are basically the past and the present. We're experiencing them now, but they're things that have come up along the way and now they're here. But they're not things that we're necessarily doing right now or doing today. They're things that we were doing a week ago, a month ago, that are now in our life and present and expressive today. So when we decide to change our mind or choose our mind to bring in a different thought or idea of something, we have to understand that now is a seed that we're planting. And depending on what it is, it takes time to grow. So when we talk about distractions, what we're really saying is that while we're planting something new, we're looking at the trees of old. And so we're wishing to eat from these seeds that we planted, but we just planted them. So they're not there to eat on necessarily. They're not something that we can experience in this moment. So all we have is the seed we planted that we can't eat from yet. And all the things, it feels like the only thing we are eating are the things that we don't want any more of. But that's the only thing grown enough or mature enough to eat or to experience. So that's a distraction to saying, I don't have this thing in my physical world yet. In this physical world, I have this part and I don't want that. So all I can see is this, what I don't want, and I can't even see what I do want because it hasn't grown yet. So that's a distraction. That's a discouragement. That's the feeling of defeat. And what we have to understand is that all these things were planted a long time ago. So you can see them now, but they were planted a long time ago. Every day is a new day. You may experience yesterday, today, but every day is a new day. What does that mean? That means every day you have an opportunity, a thought. You can plant a thought. You have a seed, a thought that you can plant in your mind, in your Garden of Eden, right? Your mind is your Garden of Eden. Every day you have a new opportunity to plant a new thought that will spring up into your life, just like the ones you don't want over here. Those came up the same way as the new one you're trying to plant. But kind of like I always say, we can have a paper cut and it'll feel like death because we're conscious. A lot of these things that we're experiencing now didn't feel like anything when we were planning them because we really weren't conscious of them. They were just a lot of habits, traditions, customs, rituals, things that we had just been used to doing. But now that we're more conscious, that we're learning how to think, and as a result, we're realizing we can and should change our life because we are in control of it, then we're becoming more conscious. Now we can feel the pain of that thing. Now we're in a different state of mind. So what we used to eat, we don't necessarily want to eat anymore. What we used to do or think or want, we don't necessarily want anymore. But that's all we see because that's what we have planted. And so that's what's alive today. It's come up today. But the process is the same. So now every day is a new day. You have a thought that you put in your mind, you planted it, whether it's today or something like you're talking about, maybe you planted a week ago or 2 weeks ago. It's a seed that's in the ground of your mind. But you must keep your attention on it, meaning you must keep watering it, right? Just with your consciousness, your mind, being thankful for it and stuff like that, because what you put your attention on grows. You have to put your attention to pour the water on here. You can't just close your eyes and just throw water around, right? Otherwise that seed will remain dry and barren on the ground. So you want to put your consciousness, pay attention to this. That's what in the wisdom book, Daniel, the word Daniel, when in the lion's den, the word Daniel means judge. It means judge or God judges, right? So when he was thrown in there for doing something they said was against the law or illegal because his friends hated on him. And the lions are basically what you're talking about now, the distractions, the fear, the discouragement. But because he was faithful, it's in the book, it said he's faithful to his God. It means he was faithful to his concept of himself, to his idea, to what he felt about himself, that he could walk into these lions that were ferocious and turn his back to it and say, I don't care about that anymore. I don't see that. I only see what I magnify, what I put my attention on. And so the next morning he walked up out of that. The next morning just means in time, in the future, in the thing before you, you're going to walk out of that cave. If you're faithful to your consciousness, to your concept of yourself, to what you believe yourself to be, that is what you're praying to every day. That's what you're worshiping, is your self-concept, is your consciousness. And when you know you're right, like he did, he could walk into a bad situation and look at it and turn around, and those lions didn't move. The circumstances didn't eat him up. He walked out alive, right? And without a dust or a scratch. So the things that we're looking at are just things that are circumstances that we may have walked into or be into because of the past, because of things that we used to think. And now they're just mature. Now that we're thinking differently and in our right thinking, increasingly so, we now plant new seeds. We plant a new garden because now we have wisdom and experience. And so now we start turning our back to these things. We say, yeah, I know you're there, but no, I'm good. I'm going to focus this. I realize what you are. I realize you're a part of the past, not necessarily my present or my future. You're not dictating what I can be. You're just showing me what I was. And so I can let that die. I stop watering those trees. I take my attention away from them. I stop giving them so much power. Oh my God, what's going to happen? Oh, what did she say? What did he say? What did they think about me? I'm giving it so much power. I'm giving it life. That's kind of what we were talking to Hope about a little bit, is realizing, hey, it's when you physically move out of something, well, in order to physically move out, you first have to have a thought. So the physical movement is secondary. The thought is primary. It's first. So as we continue to change our mind, we move out. We move out and up, out, or we turn our back, or to something that used to be in order to live to what could be, right? So a lot of times we just have a hard time dying to the old. We have a hard time dying to the old, but we can't live and die at the same time. We have to figure out which one we're going to do. We have to die to who we don't want to be in order to live to what we do want to be, right? And a lot of times we keep looking back here, looking back. So we're not dying. We're not letting this part of our life go. We keep watering it. We keep giving it our time, our attention, our intention, so much so that this thing over here needs it and it can't grow because we're watering this so much with our fear that we don't have enough faith left, enough water to water the thing we want to do, right? So really it's just about understanding that what you're looking at today, the discouragement, the defeat, the whatever else, is that you don't like, something you want to change, is just a product of the past. And just like the past, like high school, we can let it go. But some people don't do that well or don't do it voluntarily. They're still hanging around the outside, right? See them 2 years later after they graduated, still got their Letterman jacket on and hanging outside the gate. You'd be like, man, did you graduate? Why are you still here? Well, because their best life is in the past. It ain't in the present. Anybody with any sense is like, man, I graduated. I may come up to say what's up every once in a while, but I'm in college or I got my own or whatever else it is. They're not hanging around their past like that, right? That stops them from living the present future. So just a lot of it is, point is that it just takes some practice and some time, but just like Daniel, you learn how to turn your back because of what you are believing in. And you realize that, yeah, don't mean the lions aren't there, doesn't mean those things aren't there, but you learn to turn your back, you learn to turn your focus to what you do want and less on what you don't want, so that what you do want grows and what you don't want dies. All right. So hopefully you got that and all that good stuff. All right. Who else we got? Who else we got next?
Hey, Coach Lucky, how you doing? It's Dorado.
Man, what's up, man? How you doing?
I'm good, man. First of all, man, thank you for these classes, man. You really expanded my way of looking at things and my perspective of things and how I approach them. Well, the thing that I really struggle with, and you touched on it a little bit just now, is letting your old self die, but discipline in my mind to stay forward and moving forward. I know what I have to do. A lot of times I'm just lacking the discipline to follow through And what I'm really struggling with now is that there's things that I want to do and I want to move forward with, but I know that I'm not the best version of me at this moment to follow through. So what would be your, I guess, your advice for me and my journey forward?
Okay, there's two words. You use the word discipline. I'm going to put up another word. Love. Here's what I mean. So here we're not this is to the veins podcasting, broadcasting, TV. We're going straight to the vein. We're not going to play around. We're not going to make this some kind of spiritual journey. We're going to talk about things as they are so we can understand. So Gerardo, whether it's today or in high school, college, whatever, just the principle. When you saw a girl you really liked and you wanted to know her and you got to know her and you were just dating, everything you did, let's just say, everything you did, the ability to be consistent, you kept going, you kept coming, you kept calling for as long as that relationship lasted, but really just the idea of whoever that person was for you. It could be in 5th grade. It doesn't matter, right? It's the principle I'm talking about. What I'm saying is that everything you did to pursue her, right? To get her attention, her time, as much time as you could get, and all the other stuff. What did that, I'm going to use these words, but what did that motivation come out of? Was it discipline or love? I don't mean love actually, but I mean your love of what you wanted, right? You're like, man, I got to have that. I got to at least try to talk. I got to try to do something. What I'm saying is all of your actions and all the effort you put in and all that stuff, did it come out of discipline or love?
I don't know. I mean, I would have said lust.
Yes, but the lust was the love of your idea.
Okay.
Do you understand that? It was the love of your idea. It wasn't that. That's why I say it could be in 5th grade. It was just that you wanted something. Like when you see kids play video games, do they have to be disciplined to stay there for hours? It's their love of what they're doing. Love will last you longer than discipline. What I'm saying to you is that when you love what you are going after, or what you want to be or become, what you want to do, you don't have to have discipline. It's a discipline is really the focus to continue doing something that you love. So it's already wrapped in. The discipline that you're talking about is separate from it. The discipline you're talking about is discipline, willpower. These are all things that people exert when they're doing something they don't really want to do. That's why I say, when you're chasing that girl, you buying flowers. Do you really want to do that? Not really, but you love the idea of what you're going after, that it will make you do it easy. Flowers, chocolate, when your kids are playing video games, right? They love it. They'll sit there. They can't sit in class still for an hour. They'll be up here for 3 playing. They'll forget what time it is. They won't eat. It'll be day, night, and they won't even know it. They won't know what today is if you don't go get them off of it. My point is that, to answer your question, when you love something enough so that that's all that matters to you, you'll let the other stuff die. Because it can't hold your attention. You're focused on this thing. Everything you do is because of your love for it. Right? That's why I said you could do it in 5th grade. It could be video games. It could be the first cute girl. It could be the fact that you want to have a certain body, or you want to be a millionaire. It's not the thing. It's not the thing. It's your love for it. How badly do you want to be that? I'm not saying in struggle or strain. I'm saying, how much does it mean to you to be that thing? The more it means, the more it's because of the love you have for it. The love you have for the idea, or the concept, or the thing, or the experience. Kids love Disneyland. They don't want to live there, but for that moment, they're all in, right? They're all in. In that video game, they're all in. In that relationship, we're all in. In whatever it is in those moments, if you look at it, we're so all in that nothing else matters. So we don't need focus, we don't need willpower, we don't need discipline. We're really self-focused. We're self-disciplined. Like we're because this thing we want matters to us more than anything else. So when you find something like that matters to you more than anything else, and you say to yourself, I got to have that. There's nothing I want more than that. It makes the easy stuff, other stuff to drop off because they just don't matter that much to you. But this does. This keeps you up at night happy and wanting it. This right here is like, well, if I get it, right? So what I'm saying is that when you find something you want to be or do or have, when you love it like that, it will consume you in a positive way. It will consume you in a way where it's like, man, this is me. This is it, right? And it just makes it easy to do because it has your full attention, your full desire, your full respect, and it's not hard in that sense. It's not like you want to like it, or you wish you liked it more than you did, or be happy with what you got, or be grateful, or there's somebody in Africa starving, or somebody else has it worse than you. That's not what we're working on. Right? We're working on your love for something so much that it consumes you. Like you want to be it. You are like a moth to a flame. Right? You become one with it. Right? So what I'm saying to you is that whatever it is you're talking about, right? Find something, if that's what it is, find something you love. When you love it, like we were talking to Hope, when you love it and it's what you want to do, man, it will open up doors for you. It will open up gifts. It'll open up gifts for you. It will open up parts of your mind that aren't alive because they're not that aren't active because they're not necessary. Right? A woman doesn't need to breastfeed if she's not pregnant, right? Or perhaps be like it's not if she's not a mother, that part that's in her is not active because it's not necessary, but it is there. So when you become something in your mind, it activates things that require it or that it requires. So when you're willing to die to what you are now in order to fulfill what you say really you love, you're going to let that part of you go. The new you is different than that person. They think different, they act different. There's a different level of brilliance you'll find that you can't get it from here. You have to step into that thing and say, this is who I now am. This is what I'm now doing. This is my thing. That thing doesn't have to be what somebody else likes, what somebody else thinks, what somebody else says is the new thing now and you'll be a millionaire. No, what do you want? You came here to please and satisfy yourself, not in selfishness, but in intention. You came here to be something, to do something, to have something. Like we're telling Hope, she understands what her thing is, what her calling is. That's what people keep saying. Is it a calling or is it a career? Those are different. You can do a career on autopilot. Not care nothing about it, not think nothing about it. You're just smart enough and educated enough and ambitious and hardworking enough to do it. But it don't mean nothing to you. But man, when you're out there doing your thing, it means everything to you. And there's a level of brilliance. There's a level of genius, of ingenuity. There's a level of you, Gerardo, that you will never meet until you do that thing. It's not necessary. You'll be a woman who will never breastfeed because you don't have any kids. It'll never be necessary. It doesn't mean it wasn't there. It's just that if you don't have that experience, in your mind, you will never activate those skills that are within you. And that's really what you want. You're really hungering to that's the only way you'll do it is by that desire. That desire is letting you know there's something there. And if you don't have a desire, you won't do it. So it's there. But if you don't act on it, right, you'll never experience it. You'll never see who you are. That's what we're here for. We're here to be who we are, and we're all figuring out what that is, but realizing that we can do it, but it starts up here. Who do we want to be? What are the desires in our heart? Those desires are there because they're achievable. You don't desire to be 4 years old anymore, right? Because that's not, right? But they're there because everything you desire right now is achievable. In your conscious mind, you just don't know how. But that's why we talked about a couple of weeks ago, the Target employee. There's a part of you that can go behind into that warehouse where you as the customer can't. Right? So in your mind, you ask yourself, hey, how can I be that? Show me how to be that. I'm going to assume I'm now this thing. I consciously can't go behind. I don't know how to get that, but I know I want it. Right? And so by assuming I am it, now, then now those things are going to click on. All those lights are going to click on. And then you're going to get ideas you never had. But a dead man can't get a living man's idea. If you don't die to what you don't want to be, you don't have enough bandwidth to be what you want to be. You can't be everything. You can be anything, but you can't be everything. Right? There's no person on the planet that's ever been every profession in the world. Not enough time. Right? So you can be anything. Can't be everything, but you can be anything. But you can't, so you have to decide what that is. You have to decide that. Not me, not your lady, not your kids, not your mom, not your dad, not whomever in your life. Doesn't matter. You have to decide that. And when you do, all those gifts in you, those desires to let you know there's things in you, man. Right? And to say, okay, let me see how to get it. And bro, you will. So you just have to be willing to die to what you are so you can be what you want.
Thank you, thank you. What I'm, the core of that is, loving myself enough to let things go, to activate who I really am.
Yes, there you go.
I put in the chat, I desire private jets and yachts.
There you go. Somebody got to do it. Somebody on them. Why not you? The person who has one said the same thing you said. They just said it first, so they got it first. Everybody can have one if you want one. So yes, that's kind of what we're talking about. The hope. That's what all this is about. It's loving. That's what we talked about early. Value. It's loving yourself to realize you're worth that. It's a lot of times we think we're grown and we think we love ourselves because we got a nice car, maybe a nice body, a little money in the bank, or we're doing this, but we don't really realize, like, do we? Do we love ourselves enough to say, what's my next dream? And know it and say, all right, I'm at it. I'm about that action. I'm at it. Or like, oh, well, that's a little bit too much, ain't it? Well, according to who? It's your desire. Who's there to tell you it's too much? Right? But that's why I say you got to sometimes also be careful who you share things with, because sometimes people mean well, but they don't know how to help you. A lot of times they end up hurting you. Not that they can actually, but they can discourage you if you allow that to be. They don't mean to, but a lot of times they can because they don't know. They're like, man, why you need to do that, man? You good. Oh, everything's good, man. Why you want to mess that up? Why can't you? It's like, well, because I want more in my life. And if I'm willing to go about it the right way, I don't have to sacrifice what I have now. That's good for me. I don't have to sacrifice. But you will suffer if you don't go after your dreams. You will suffer. Because what else you here for? The misery? you either living or dying. You either dreaming or you not. Right? So what you're doing, man, is a good thing. You're waking up to realize that, man, there's greatness in you. It is you. Right? And your own desires are there to alert you to that. To say, hey, come on, we can get this done. And if you trust yourself, if you trust yourself enough and love yourself enough, you can do anything. Because you'll be kind enough and patient enough to become the person you want to be. Yes, sir. Well, that's wonderful. Wonderful. All right. What else we got? Who has something else they'd like to say or ask or contribute or anything like that? Because you know me, man, you guys better talk, because I get to talking.
Crickets.
Oh man, okay, don't say I didn't ask. Don't say I didn't ask. 5, 4, it's like a shot clock. Can't play clock. All right. Feel free anytime. All right. Who can see that word? All right. Can anybody see that word? Is anybody still alive?
Yes, I can see it.
All right. When we talk about business or even life, people always talk about mentors and mentorship, right? But I swear to God, I think people don't even really realize what what a word means. And I'm not even talking about the actual definition, but I mean like when you say I need a mentor, or I want a mentor, or you should get a mentor, or things like that. What does that word actually mean? We're not talking about etymology right now, but what does that word actually represent? What does that word represent?
It's a person who has been where you're trying to go that can guide you along the way.
Okay. Now, so when you've been where you want to go and can guide you along the way, has anybody ever heard hindsight is 20/20?
Yes.
So then they have an experience, right? They've been where you want to go and they can guide you. Because they experience, they can guide. And they can guide because they're clear. So then your mentor possesses something you don't. What is that?
Hindsight.
And what is hindsight? Hindsight
Vision.
is what? Vision. And vision, in order for it to be worth anything, has to be
Clear.
clear. So essentially, they have clarity. What is their clarity? What is it? Where is it? What is their clarity? Where is their clarity?
Their clarity is in their mind.
In their mind. So your mentor essentially possesses a mind that you currently don't. They possess a mind that you currently don't because of the experience that they have. Now, saying that, we can understand that, right? But this is where we're now going to take it up a notch. This is where we differ from, I'm going to say it this way, from the world, from regular world thought. So that you understand, so that you're not crypto coined out of yourself. And I'm not saying that, crypto is a negative thing. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying so that you're not conned by somebody, so that you don't misunderstand exactly what you're trying to get or getting from someone, so that you can start learning how to give things to yourself. It doesn't mean you won't ever have a physical one, but you'll realize what the physical one represents. So you can start understanding how to be your own mental mentor. Catch that, catch it, write it down, spray paint it, do something, write it on your hand, catch it. Don't use it, don't steal it, I will sue. Right? What I mean by that is, this person that you call your mentor has a mind that you currently don't because of an experience that you have not had. What I'm telling you now is kind of like when I was talking about Gerardo, and when I'm talking to all three of you actually, and we talked about dying to live. This experience physically, you can create first mentally. You can mentally create the physical experience that your mentor has, because all you're doing essentially is shifting states of mind. Your mentor has a different state of mind than you based on their experience that you don't have. They have a different state of mind. That's all they have. And the only reason they have it is because of their experience. So when we're parents, or when we're godparents, or when we're older, talking to somebody younger, or when we're a mentor talking to somebody, we're essentially talking about an experience that they don't have. So we have clarity. We have a different state of mind because of something. What I'm saying to you is that you can proactively, instead of reactively through experience, you can proactively through mental assumption change your state of mind so that you can operate like this person. How do you do that? Let's say if you were, let's say you wanted to be, like any of you guys' example. Let's say you wanted to go from A to B. This is what you are right now, currently experiencing. This is your experience. You go to a mentor because you want to know how to think like B. You want to be B. But a lot of experiences that you go through to become a mentor, a lot of things you go through, if you knew better or you had another mentor, you would not have to experience some of those things, right? We try to save our kids, or we try to save people, whether they're young or old, anybody that we know more than, we try to save them from certain experiences because you realize, yeah, you may learn from this experience, but it may cost you too much. You learned not to cross the street without looking, but you did. So you learned before you died, but you did. You learn not to spend all your money up, at 2 hours into the Boys and Girls Club, and you still have 7 more hours. But now you're hungry all day. But somebody who's older would tell you, hey man, don't do that. From their experience, they know. So from their experience, you can learn. So that means you didn't have to have the experience to learn. You had to listen, though, to learn. You still had to do something. But what you had to do was not necessarily physically experience it. You can say, that person experienced it. I trust them enough. I'm going to move over here so I can avoid that. Right? If you're talking to anybody, you'll tell somebody, man, just listen. You're trying to always get them to listen because, if they listen, they will avoid certain things. There's certain experiences you don't want them to have. You realize that, yeah, I got the information, I'm clear, but I wish I didn't have to go through all that to get it. So how do we change states of mind? You change states of mind by assumption, right? You say, this is what I am right now. I don't want to be that anymore. What do I want to be? I am, I'm unhappy at work. Okay, well, what do I want to be? I want to be happy at work. Do I want to be happy at work here, or do I just want to be happy at work? Those are sometimes different questions. Sometimes we say, well, I want to be happy here, but happiness doesn't exist here. It's like saying, I'm in LA and I want to go skiing in LA City. Yeah, it doesn't work like that. There's no snow in LA City. There is on the outside, I have to move and go where it is, right? So what I'm saying is that, okay, I now want this. I now want to be this. So now what I'm going to do is move in mind. I'm going to die to who I was. I'm going to change my state of mind. I'm no longer that person in my mind. I'm now this person in my mind. I now have a wonderful job. I have a wonderful job that I love going to every day. I've now moved states of mind. I've now moved in my mind. I'm now assuming myself to be. It's only a state of mind. That's all they have different than you. They don't have more legs, more arms. They don't have anything than you. And the reason they have a different state of mind than you is because of their experience. But what we do here is learn how to consciously create our experience so that we don't have to experience unnecessary things to get to the end. When you know where you're going, you can take shortcuts. When you don't, you got to just follow the map. You may not realize that, yeah, I understand this looks straight, but this is straight with traffic. I can go around with no traffic and get there 5 minutes earlier, even though it took me, I went out of the way 2 miles, but I still got here 5 minutes before if I just went straight because I know better. Not because I have more arms or more legs, because I know better, right? So this person knows better because, yeah, man, I went straight. I learned I should have turned. Well, if you tell me you should have turned, then I'm going to turn. I'm going to say, oh, yeah, so-and-so told me that. I'm just going to go around. I know it looked a certain way, but they already told me. Once you pass that intersection, you're trapped. So I'm going to go around, right? But I learned that from this person's physical experience. But that person will tell you, I wish someone would have told me. Everybody that goes through it physically wishes somebody would have told them. And that's why, like, I'm talking to you or somebody, or you're talking to someone else. That's why the passion comes out. It may be seen as anger, or it may be loud, depending on who you're talking to or what you're talking about. But the point is, you have an experience and you're trying to stop somebody you care about or you're responsible for or whatever to say, man, don't do that. Stop. Wait, hold on. Yeah, I have a different state of mind. I'm telling you. And I'm telling you that I wish I would have. I'm glad I understand now, but I wish I didn't have to go through that for understanding. And if somebody would have known better and told me, I hope I would have listened. And so my point is that all you want to do is get to the state of mind that this person has. That's what you want, right? And what I'm saying to you is that when you change your mind from I have a job that sucks, or I have a this that I don't like, I have this or that. What do I want? What do I like? What is it? I want this. So now I change states of mind by saying, I have this now. I now have a wonderful job that I like. Man, I'm loved and respected here. People appreciate me, congratulate me all the time. People are happy to see me every time I come into the door. Sometimes people even bring me coffee. It's a state of mind. You're changing your experience. And you have to think before you do. Even if you're thinking incorrectly, you still have to think before you do. But you can tell what you're thinking by what you do, and you can tell what you were doing by the outcome. So the outcome is a reflection of the thought. That's why I say at the beginning that people can say one thing, but they're going to call you what you are. The outcome is going to be based on your thought, not the action, but the action is based on your thought. So you think, you act, you have an outcome. So that physical thing is reflected by the non-physical thing. The thought and the outcome are one. The action is the thing that tells you what you're thinking and the thing that people judge you on. So they're eventually going to call you what you calling yourself. It's just what it is. That's how it works. So when you change your state of mind and say, I am this, now I'm that. Now, in order to get the change of a state of mind, you have to stay there. You can't come out and be like, who is it? What's there? You can't abandon your thought, your belief in what you are. To Marcus's point, you don't see it, right? Your reason will deny it. Your conscious mind is like, we ain't that. The world will tell you, you're not that. But when a farmer plants a seed, and it's first put in the ground, and they drive somebody and say, oh, that's an almond seed. Oh, yeah, I planted this and that over there. Somebody's going to be like, either somebody who doesn't know will say, no, it's not, because I don't see it. Or somebody who understands farming will say, oh, wow, they'll take your word for it. Because they understand that just because you plant a seed now doesn't mean it's going to come up. But as a farmer, you're not discouraged by that. And somebody who understands farming is not discouraged by that because you understand there's seed, germination, expression. Depending on the seed, there may be a week, it may be a month, it may be a year, whatever else it is. But if the farmer stops watering that seed, they never get the benefit of what it could be. Right? You never get the benefit of that. What I'm saying to you is that there's a process. You move states of mind. You have a thought that you put in your mind and you stay faithful to that thought. And the more you stay faithful to it, you're essentially watering it, it's going to start expressing itself in your life. That's a law. It's the law of assumption. Right? When you assume yourself to be, that's a law. We're always assuming ourselves to be something. That's why we're always saying, I am. And we're always creating something. We're always anticipating. We're always going ahead of our evidence. That's what a blueprint is. It's ahead of something that's evident. Nobody can see it when you're driving by, but the construction workers are looking at the plans and they're visioning, they're seeing it. They're like, oh, okay, put it over here, put it over here. And a year later, this thing comes up. This building came up out of the ground, just like a carrot, just like everything else. It comes up out of the ground. This is your Garden of Eden. It comes up out of your ground. But you have to be faithful to that concept of yourself. That takes practice. It takes repetition. But we're always doing it. But we're doing it consciously. That's what makes it seem harder. We're always believing ourselves to be something worthy, unworthy, hated on, liked, disliked, loved, not loved. We're always assuming ourselves to be something. And whatever we're assuming and faithful to that assumption will be created or recreated. So if we want to have a different physical experience, we have to first have a different physical thought. If you want to have a watermelon instead of a carrot, you're going to have to change the seed that you put into the soil. It's only going to reflect and produce what it is. So if you want to have a different experience, you're going to have to change your thought about what you're planting in your mind and watering with your feelings and your assumption. You're going to have to change that. And you have to remain faithful to it like a farmer is watering that dirt, that it looks like just dirt, like nothing's happening. But the farmer's okay with it because they understand the law. This, when we talk about death and life, think about it this way. When you have a seed in your hand, right, you call it life. But in order for it to actually live, you have to put it into the ground. Right? So then it's actually dead to you. It's gone. And it goes into the ground and hides. But now what you're doing is it has gone away from you. It is now in the ground and it's going to produce life. So what you're giving up is the seed. What you're holding on to is the law, is your understanding of sowing and reaping. You understand that what I plant in my mind, I'm going to reap in my life. Just like what I plant in this ground, I'm going to reap coming out of it. But I understand I had to give the seed up. I had to give something up to get something, whether the seed in my hand into the ground, or whether it is my old concept of myself into, I had to let that go. I had to give that up so I could plant the new seed of life, of the new being that I desire, or the new thing I desire to have. Right? So this is what let me see. Who can I need a volunteer.
We all ain't gonna jump at once, but I'm ahead of the line.
Okay, there you go. All right, here we go. So this Gerardo, right?
Correct.
All right, here we go. So now this I'm going to do it with you, but I want everybody to do that. I want everybody to do it this week. I'm going to start it with you, but I want everyone to do it this week. If let's just say if you can use something real or imagined. I don't want, you don't have to, if you want to use what you're really talking about, you can. But if not, that's fine too, because the illustration works the same. Doesn't matter whether it's true or not. But I want to show us how to do something so that we can do it this week. So Gerardo, let's say you want to be something, right? So pick something that real or imagined, doesn't have to be real, but just real or imagined. So pick something. What do you want to pick?
I mean, in the contents of what though,
say you want a car, say you want a better body, say you want $1 million, say you want a bigger house or a house, say you want give me something you want. It doesn't have to be real. If you want it to be, cool. If not, don't worry about it because it works the same. Give me something you want.
So I mean, I would have to go with what I want my journey to be, and that's just healing and mental fortitude. So I want to be a better person, better overall, better version of me.
Okay. So you want to be a better version of you. Okay. Now here's the drill. All right. Tell me what your relationship with that is. Tell me what that's like. The better version of you. Tell me what that's like.
The better version of me would be letting go of the things that hold me back.
Yeah, but what now? But what is it like? You told me what it isn't.
Oh, what it would a better version of me would just have more I guess the better version of me would be more foundation based. I have a stronger base, and I mean, I'm kind of all over the place with it. More of boundaries and a better way of thinking, a more positive outlook on the future, looking at things at now with the intentions of the future instead of just now or just beyond. Looking at things right now, this moment, with the connection to the future instead of looking at what's happening right now or what I want to do in the future. Link those two together so that I move fluently towards what I want.
Okay. So now just imagine, I don't know if you do or you don't, but just imagine you had kids and they're like, Dad, tell me a bedtime story. and you went in there and you told a story that sounded like that, what would they get from that?
Absolutely nothing.
And that is what you're going to get. So here's what I want you to do. That is what you're going to get, because that is what you're trying to sell yourself, but it's everywhere, right? So that's why we're doing what we're doing right now. You're saying you want to be a better version of yourself. Keep it simple, keep it clean. You know what you mean by that. You're not talking to anyone but your higher self, your true self. You're talking to the self you were before you got in this body and named it Gerardo. So you're not Gerardo. So you're not trying. So when you're talking as Gerardo, meaning the persona, the person you believe yourself to be, you're talking to who you really are. So you don't have to make it all fancy, all sexy, all intimate details. And no, you know what you mean by what you say. So keep it simple so that you can say it, so that you're conscious, so Gerardo can understand it and believe it. So you go to bed and you say to yourself, you know what? I'm the best version of myself. Man, I'm great at this. I'm doing this. I'm healthy. I'm whatever. I'm the best version of myself. Even if you just went to bed every night saying, I'm the best version of myself, you know what that means. You ain't got to explain it to me. You don't explain it to anyone. You don't have to talk to anyone about it, ask anyone about it. Don't tell anybody about it. That's my advice. Just because it'll mess you up even more than they will, because you're trying to figure it all out and explain it and diagram it. Literally, you said, I want to be the best version of myself. From today until next Saturday, I want you to, before you go to sleep, I want you to fall asleep just whispering to yourself in your mind, or just a soft whisper, I'm the best version of myself. You know what that means. You know what all of that entails. You know everything you mean by that. I'm the best version of myself. I'm the best version of myself. Man, I'm the best version of myself. And then sometimes you may expound a little bit, like, man, I'm winning, right? Every night you fall asleep saying that. When you wake up in the morning, before you move your big toe and start walking around and everything else, take 30 seconds, take a minute. Man, I'm the best version of myself. Man, I'm out here winning. I'm the best. So you go to sleep that way. You wake up that way before you start moving. Then you go on about your day. As your day goes, you may have a thought like, man, there's traffic, or man, oh, damn, I thought it was only $10. This is $15, right? So we have thoughts, but every time you have a thought, just, I'm the best version of myself. That best version of yourself is everything you want to be. You know what that means. How much money, how your health, your relationships, you know what that means, right? And so my point to you and to everyone is I want you to get a story about yourself. We're always telling ourselves a story. They're hating on me. They don't like me. I can't get out of here. These people don't like me. I don't like them. I'm stuck. I'm fat. I'm broke. I'm this, I'm that. We're always telling ourselves a story, but it's so habitual, it's unconscious, we don't realize we're doing it. So what we do here is become conscious of what we're doing so that we can be proactive, conscious creators of our experience instead of reactive victims of it. Because somebody's always creating. Somebody's always thinking. If it ain't you, it's your kids, it's your wife, it's your husband, it's your whatever else it is. It's your business partner. Somebody's always thinking. And if you're not, you are going to feel or be victimized by the conscious creator, by the person who's really thinking. They're controlling everything. Not you physically and personally, but their whole vibe. Everything is being controlled by the person who's thinking in the environment. That's the strongest person, is the strongest thinker. Right? So the strongest physically is the king of the jungle. The strongest mentally is the king of the world. Catch that? Did you guys write that down? Because that just came out right there. That's like a bullet. That just came out. It came out of me. I couldn't even catch it. Right? So what I'm saying to you is, I want all of you guys to write a story about yourself. Write something down that this is who I am. I'm the best version of myself. Or man, whatever it is, man, like, man, I'm out here winning. Or like, I'm in perfect health. Whatever you want for yourself. What little short story can you tell yourself like you tell your kids or a child before bed? Don't complicate it. Make it something that's exciting. Make it something that thrills them. They want you to tell them a story, because they want like something to go to bed with, like, oh my God, that was scary. Or, oh man, that was sweet. Or whatever else it is. But tell yourself a story about who you are now. right? And so you're telling yourself that, and you're getting it into your subconscious mind. You're imagining, you're creating, you're writing a blueprint now for to build this building. And the more you do it, now you go from the blueprint to the construction, and the construction will eventually be finished. But it comes because you made a conscious decision that you want to build a building, not a park, not an apartment, not a house, a building. So keep it simple, but make it something that you desire, that you want to be, right? And keep it, and literally, you, like a lullaby, like a bedtime story, you say it to yourself as you're falling asleep. Say that to yourself. Say it to yourself. When you wake up, spend a little time with it. Spend a little time with it. And then throughout your day, just when it comes up, just, man, I'm the best version of myself. It may not look like it. It may not feel like it. There's a high school they're building. It may not think it's taking so long, but everybody says it's a high school. And now you're starting to see buildings come up. It will come. But you can't, the construction workers don't show up, the building's not going to get built. If you don't stay faithful to it during the day, in your mind, it won't get built. You stay loyal to it and faithful to it, it will build. That concept you have of yourself is a real thing. For all of us here, it's a real thing. So I want all of us to sit down and say, what do I really want to be? I want to have $1 million. I want to be a millionaire. You know what? Okay, cool. You know what? I'm a millionaire. I have $1 million of worth. Right now, when it happens, it'll sound crazy, feel crazy, look crazy, but just like meeting somebody new. You're introducing yourself as a living thing to a living thing, but you don't know each other. It takes time to get to know each other. Just stay with it, and you'll go from strangers to married, to best friends, to whatever else it is, the longer and the better you come together, right? So I want everybody from today until next Saturday, I want everybody to figure out something they want to say to themselves, that they want to do or be or have. And you repeat that like a lullaby. Make it short and sweet and simple. You know what you mean, but make sure you're using some words that really mean what you mean, but you don't have to go through every little part of it. You know what you mean when you say, I want to be wealthy, or I want to be in perfect health, or I want to have the best job. I have a brand new job. You know what? I have a brand new job. Not I want to be or I will be. I am now, present tense. I have the best job. People love me where I'm going. Man, it's so excited to see me. It's just always a good time. I love it. I'm getting paid more than I ever got paid, right? I'm always getting bonuses. You start whatever it is that you want from now until next weekend, right? And we'll discuss some results. But faithful to it every night. Fall asleep in it. Fall asleep in the feeling of being or doing or having what you want. And then wake up and make that your first part of business before you get up, start talking to everybody. Talk to yourself first. Increase your own value if you want to be valuable. Valuable is to someone else. Value is you. You're not valuable if you don't have any value. Value is you first, right? So next 7 days, let's do that. And let's see how it goes. All right. Well,
Sounds good, man. I'm definitely going to work on that.
Yes, sir. Everybody, this is like a team. Everybody, the coach is talking. I was talking to one person. I'm talking to everybody. So everybody, for the next 7 days, pick something, right, that you want to experience or be or do, and go into it. Just like we're talking about, this is for Gerardo. I'm talking to Gerardo, but I'm talking to everybody. Everyone can benefit. All right. Man, it's 9 o'clock, so I want to get out in the interest of time and respecting everybody's time. Thank you all so much. Always a pleasure. And apply it, test it, prove it, apply it with all your might. You work hard on your job, you work hard to fight traffic, you work hard for your family, man, be faithful and loyal to yourself, right? And see what you get. And you realize you don't have to mess with everybody else to be valuable. You've increased your value. There's no one else or nothing else to see but that, right? So, hey, have a great day, great rest of the day. Thank you all for coming. Have a great weekend. Anything you want to say?
No, just thank you everyone for coming. And if you want to sign up and register to the class to get your calendar, set up through registering, you can. If not, regardless, we make sure you guys will get the link as long as you have signed up to our email list. But thank you everyone for coming, and we'll see you guys next week.
See you guys next week.